without the technology. If we had an EMP or a cyber attack tomorrow and the grid went down, there's no electricity anymore, there's no water running, there's no electricity, are you still a feminist?
Yeah. Her argument is feminism is bad because all the early feminists were bad and they were all cultists and they were having affairs right and left. And feminism seeks to make women god over men, and it's bad because magic and stuff like that, and it's not Christian.
Yeah, I'd say that. I mean,
are having babies older in larger numbers than they've ever had, and for most of those women, it is a first birth. The average woman's only having 1 or 2. So it's not that the women who've had 6 and are now having their 6th baby at 40, they're usually doing pretty well. It's when you have your first birth late in life that you're at the highest risk. And this is the reason that the mortality rate
Is she really 22 years old? That's insane.
is rising. I'm not saying it's explanatory of every maternal death, of course not. There's other things that can go wrong, but those things have maintained pretty static throughout time. This is the one factor that has changed, and it's because of feminism. So we're supposed to be debating if feminism is better for society, and I asked you to give me some examples of things you think it has improved for society, and we're going to see if
you asked me to give an example of anything that has something to do with technology or feminism has anything that doesn't rely on technology, and I said no, because you can't.
So all of the things
feminism itself thought itself could be seen as a technology in a way. Things evolve, and the reason when I pointed to those countries, you say they're not Christian, we can go there, but that's fine. What the main issue there is that in those Islamic countries, Islam is a much younger religion than Christianity. It's 1400 years old. Yeah, okay, but listen, Rachel, 500 years ago was 1525. Okay, that was the birth of the Protestant Reformation. They were burning heretics at the stake. I mean, you're Orthodox. I know you have feelings about Protestants and heretics. Would you shave their head and burn them?
Wait a second.
They still do that.
Wait a second. We have to go back. You said Islam started when?
Like 1400 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Around the 5th, 4th, 5th century, or 5th or 6th century. Yeah. And then you jump to the Protestant Revolution, which was in the 1500s, 500 years ago.
Yes. And you're saying the difference between Christianity and Islam's age is 500 years about.
So, yeah.
So I'm saying the reason Christianity is more reasonable is because it's older. It has had more time to evolve and adapt to the technology.
You should go to my Substack and read a piece that I presented at a theological seminary on how Christianity is what gave women dignity and made them human versus paganism. Because
I read that.
Christianity, well, I did a whole, it's an actual, you like this academic stuff, it's actually an academic cited work, which explains that it was Christianity that first gave women any notion of dignity, and not necessarily equality in the way that, the post-Enlightenment liberal folks would see it, but saw them as real human beings and not just temple prostitutes or breeding mares or things like that. It made them human. Islam is completely different, and it's not that Islam is younger. It's only 500 years younger, and Christianity up until 100, 200 years ago was not liberal whatsoever. There wasn't liberal Christianity until the Enlightenment revolutionary period.
That's why I brought up the age, though, to show you that is a big difference. That's a lot of time.
So you think in 400 years that Muslims will be where we're at?
I don't know.
So then what's the point of this line of inquiry? I'd still like to hear where feminism has improved society in any way that isn't directly attributable to the technology and not
I told you I can't give you that.
Okay.
I told you they go hand in hand.
Yeah. So what does that tell you? What does it tell you if women can't be equal with men without the technology? If we had an EMP or a cyber attack tomorrow and the grid went down, there's no electricity anymore, there's no water running, there's no electricity, are you still a feminist?
Yeah.
Really?
Ideologically, yes. I'm not denying.
You're not going to go running to the first man that can keep you alive and say, you know what, whatever you say, sir, I'll do whatever I'll do whatever you say. Oh, so you would just die. You would die out of ideological purity?
No.
Okay.
I would partner up with them and see if we could survive as a tribe, as a community, as
And what if they say,
whatever
look,
we have
Amanda,
nowadays without the tubes.
What if they say, look, Amanda, no. Look, Amanda, how about you go fuck off?
Without the tools.
What if the men say to you, look, Amanda, you don't know anything about plumbing. You don't know how to sterilize water. You can't build a barn. You
I
can't
can
help
build
us
a
get the-"
fire and boil it.
Yeah, and if they say to you,
I could build a fire and boil it. Yeah, but the man could do that too. Why would they need you to do that? The men could already do that. They don't need you to do it. You're like, listen, Amanda, thank you for coming by. But can you fuck off? Like, we only have so much food here. It looks like you're gonna need more than the rest of us. So maybe you could just, I don't know, go waddle off somewhere else.
Amanda, just do what we say. We'll keep you alive. If not, you can go with the feminists and try to survive over there with them. Which one are you going to pick?
I might try to survive.
Did she say she's not going to try to survive? What is she just literally going to roll over and just die? Just take me now, Lord. And then it's going to like take her like a few days. But she is the table. That's a good point, Liz. She could be the table. She could be the table that the men eat the food off of. That's actually a good point. If Amanda were smart, she would have just said that. I am the table. I could be the table.
And you would die.
Possibly. But if an
Almost.
Imagine if she's choosing to die over just going to men for help.
it happens, a lot of people would die.
So what I'm telling you is that as a biological determinist, you just said that you don't deny biology, you don't deny
No.
reality, and you don't believe in free will. And what I'm telling you is women can't survive without men. So this idea that we're equal is just an illusion brought to you by technology. It's a
But
preference
Rachel,
you
no
have.
one's
It's a
arguing
preference-
that.
It's a preference you have.
Oh, she would just try to survive? Yeah, but how? I guess I missed her. Yeah, so she would try to survive. I would just ask her, yeah, but how would you try to survive? Like, how? I mean, at least she does. It'll take her a bit to starve. You know, she has her body built up a nice storage with her body. So as long as she got water, I guess she could live for a good few days.
That's propped up by the technology men have built and that they maintain on your behalf. And if men decide not to enforce women's rights tomorrow, you don't have any. So this is all
Because men are people and they have minds, and they're not something to be seen as an object or just something to be argued against. They're a real person that you can actually just talk to. And
I agree.
yes, and women.
That's all that she learned in her freaking feminism classes or her getting her college degree. That's the only shit that she learned, was just like, women are people. Yeah, we know, bitch. We've always known women are people. You know, it's all the platitudes that she learned. Thank you very much to Liz for $1.99 trying to help out on a slow day. Well, thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Yeah, anything you guys could do, you could throw my way. It'll be greatly appreciated.
Are the same, and that's what feminism argues for. It argues for this idea of personhood, which you say Christians were the first ones or something to give.
Yeah, we were,
Good.
but that does not eliminate hierarchy. Would you agree? Would you agree that
Yes.
just because men are people and women are people, you can reason with women, you can reason with men, we both have minds, we're both, in my view, we're equal in the eyes of God. Does that mean there's no hierarchy to society, that socially there has to be equality rather than hierarchy?
Not equality in the term that we are all the same, doing the same thing, doing the
That's
same
funny.
jobs. Equality in the sense that we are people. We have this individual personhood of our own, and that men respect that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
really all that feminism is. And you talk about framing. I don't know if I've watched a few of your debates, the one with Craig, obviously. And that debate, I kind of felt like you were just talking past each other, because you use this word framing. Can you define what you mean by framing? If by
Sure.
framing, do you mean it's the way we are presenting things, or do you mean is it the way things are? Because you keep going on about tools. And I don't know if you're saying men framed this by building the tools, or you're framing feminism to mean a certain thing.
No, when I refer to framing, I'm saying are relying on people's presuppositions. So we have to,
Okay.
in order for feminism to make sense, especially the way you presented it in your opening, we have to agree on certain preconceived notions, like that women were enslaved or they were oppressed prior to women's liberation.
Well, I don't think we have to agree on that. We have to agree on some things.
Well, what were we liberating them from if they were, why would they need liberation if they weren't enslaved or oppressed?
The
Yeah.
same reason the civil rights happened, because it wasn't, they were, I mean, yeah, I'll use the word oppressed, but that's not slavery. Like,
Okay.
oppression is not slavery.
Okay.
But Rachel's right, because she keeps bringing up this point, Rachel, that you know, like they always frame it as just like, yeah, pretty much before feminism came along, women were just chained to the stove, pretty much, you know, treated like chattel, the property of men. And that's just not the way it was. And that's what Rachel comes along and does these debates and writes her book and stuff like that to let it be known that no, that's not how the way it was. That was a whole bunch of horse shit. But a lot of that's what they teach in the colleges. That's why people like this lady here all believe it, that, oh yeah, just back before a certain time, women they're just treated like chattel and stuff. And we needed feminism in order to treat them like people. But it's all bullshit.
Okay,
So
but
when we talk about the right to vote, I'll use the right to vote for an example. It's not casting the ballot and putting in your vote for the representative. It's what that, I guess, represents. That's a lazy way to say it. But someone cares about my mind enough to take my opinion into account. That's what
That's what feminism is. Just care enough about my opinion in order to take into account. Okay, well, we got it. So now what? Now we do take women's opinions into account. Well, now what? Thank you very much, Disobedient Dogman, for 10 pounds, I believe. Loving the stream, dude. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, brother. And thank you very much for your donation. Fuck your opinion, Amanda. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what, Amanda? Yeah, we started taking women's opinions into consideration, and women like you are starting to make us regret it pretty much.
the right to vote meant.
okay.
And I don't know if you've ever read or seen A Doll's House by, I think, Henrik Ibsen. I am not saying that name right.
No.
Henrik Ibsen, A Doll's House. Okay, well, it's a really famous play. Nora from A Doll's House is like up there with Lady Macbeth as like the coveted pinnacle of female stage acting. And it's a really, really good example of a male writing a feminist work about a woman who's just unhappy in her marriage because her husband doesn't see her as a person. He's a doll for her to play with. And a lot of women did have that life. So what Nora does in a play in A Doll's House is, this was like 1838, maybe, I don't know, 1878, maybe, sometime around there. But Nora's father was dying. Nora was like the apple of her father's eye. So her father was dying and he had a lot of money. Her husband was very ill. So she forged his signature and got money.
You gotta land the plane. You gotta land the plane because we're gonna bore the audience to death. So you're saying this
Thank you,
poor
Rachel.
woman just was in bad circumstances because it was 1830 and she had no choice about it. Is that the gist of it?
Well, she tried to take it into her own hands and it backfired. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
And
so let's just pretend we have a man and a woman and it's the year 1830 and the woman is oppressed because men don't see her as a person. They just think of them as sex toys or birthing mares or something like that. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, basically, so I can be a little long-winded, but basically at the end of the play, she embodies this whole feminist notion of, you know, I've lived my whole life being who other people want me to be. I don't even know who I am. Feminism gives women the right.
That's a whole bunch of bullshit garbage, and I'll tell you why. Do you think that I'll tell you why. A man in 1830, do you think a man in 1830 just got to be who he wanted to be? He just got to find himself. He got to follow his true north. He got to, you know, have this romantic idea of who he wanted to be in life and everyone respected it? Or do you think it's more likely that a man in 1830,
he was sent to be cannon fodder in war, put out on the farm? Yes, Rachel, women did the same thing.
or sent to the mines It's
yes,
like,
sent to the
where
put
so
up put on
this
the
is-
farm labor, didn't get anything but a fifth grade
so this is
education.
what I mean by framing. What I mean by framing is we're always presented this picture of, but women weren't taken seriously and their feelings didn't matter, and then they didn't have agency and they weren't seen as people and their personhood. And what about finding herself? And I'm telling you that that's garbage and that's bullshit. And you sound like a theater kid. Were you a theater kid? Yeah, you're a
Yeah.
theater kid. You like Wicked. You told me you like Wicked, and now you're talking about, yeah, you're a theater kid. So listen, that's not real life. In real life, people have to live and survive and eat and pay bills. And
Rachel, women paid that blood price in childbirth.
Men don't get this romantic, beautiful life where they get to be who they want to be and do what they want to do, and they sing a song about it. That's not how life works for anyone. That's not specific to women. And what feminism relies on is
And
framing.
feminism is saying that, Rachel.
Feminism relies on framing history as this situation where men as a whole oppressed women and treated them like playthings and treated them like objects and didn't allow them personhood and didn't allow them this and didn't allow them that. And this is all based on standpoint theory. You should read about standpoint theory, Sandra Harding, look it up. That's where all your worldview comes from. It's this framing that,
well, considering I've never heard of that person, that's an interesting claim to make, Rachel. But
well, no, I mean, she's just saying that that's where everyone who falls into this belief that women were just, treated like slaves and chattel and didn't have any rights, didn't have any say in anything. They were just our property up until feminism came along. She's saying that that's where it all stems from. Not necessarily that Amanda has heard of this person and has read this person, but that's just where it all stems from. But Sarah, Rachel is absolutely right. Like, this isn't like men don't have the chance to live, laugh, love. You know, now that's a big thing. Like, women need to live, laugh, love, and find themselves and go to the Bahamas and have a vacation and get their groove back, sleep with a bunch of men to really find out who they are. But it's like men don't have that, and men never have had that. So yeah, it goes completely against the framing that feminism and feminists have done.
Well, if you've studied feminism, you should know this stuff. I probably am more well-read on feminism than you or any other feminist I've ever debated. That's why I'm here. I've done all the digging. I've done all the reading. I know their shit inside and out, and I know where this stuff comes from. And what I'm telling you is that—
and you're good at cherry picking it too.
I'm not cherry picking it. You're cherry picking it because your argument relies on this concept that women as a whole were oppressed by men as a whole, when historically that's completely inaccurate.
They were oppressed by society, by the societal norms.
Who in society? Were the women of society oppressing women?
Everyone.
Or was it the men? Okay, how were the women of society? How were the
internalized misogyny
oppressing each other?
Internalized
misogyny.
misogyny.
Same way you do, Rachel, by going against feminism. And you talk about men going to work out on the farm, going to be cannon fodder, getting sent to the mines, paying the blood price. Women did that too, in childbirth, in marriage, when we died in childbirth.
Yeah, so essentially she's saying that Rachel is oppressing women because, she didn't say the words, but it's pretty much hinting at, Rachel has internalized misogyny pretty much.
We went against everything we wanted to do in marriage to hold the family together after our husband in the Dust Bowl with a bum knee went out, died of a heart attack of pure exhaustion. Then we got to take over and take care of the kids and send them again to go get cannon fodder in the war.
So you just did the meme. The husband goes out with a bum knee into the Dust Bowl and dies. Women most affected. Okay, this is the framing I'm talking about. When all the men die in World War I, when France loses, I don't know how many of their men, 60%, 80% of their, percentage wise, they lost a huge percentage of their male population. You're the kind of person who would be like, but what about how the women felt about that? And I'm saying, what about the men that died in huge numbers? And you're like, yeah, but the women were sad. So actually it's the women. So do you see how this is framed?
But I didn't say, but actually the women. That's the difference.
There are hardships to being a man. There are hardships to being a woman. They might be different hardships. So fucking what?
Yeah.
Feminism relies on framing everything historically as a hardship for women, and this presumption. Yes, this presumption. So you brought up voting. First of all, nobody has a right to vote. That's bullshit. That's made.
Who's throwing? I didn't even notice. Who's throwing something? Is it Rachel? Did she just Kobe her garbage across the room? That's funny. I'm just gonna go back a little bit. I want to see this Kobeing.
There are hardships to being a man. There are hardships to being a
Yes.
woman. They might be different hardships. So fucking what? Feminism relies on framing everything historically as a hardship for women, and this
No, it doesn't.
presumption. Yes, this presumption. So you brought up voting. First of all, nobody has a right to vote. That's bullshit. That's made up
Well,
stuff.
that's-
It's a social contract.
I will grant you that. Yes.
And men,
Yes.
do you think all men could always vote?
Of course not, Rachel. I
Of
know
course
about the
not,
civil
of course
rights
not.
movement.
So why is it special that
told
women
you.
not vote, or that women gain the vote when most men couldn't vote until maybe 10 years before women could?
Rachel, I told you what the vote represented already, and
Your feelings. This all reduces
Your
for you
mind.
to like,
Yeah.
but how I feel about it. And what about, I'm sad because I feel like people don't take me seriously. It's like, well, men feel sad all the time. People feel sad all the
Exactly.
time.
That's
But it's feminism doesn't fix that.
Yes,
Feminism
it
doesn't
does.
fix it, and it doesn't cure it. And let's go back to some other stuff.
no,
that you brought up.
but it's better for society.
It's not better for society. For
Why?
example,
See, all she's that's all she knows is, but it's better for society. It just feels nicer. It just feels better. And then it's like she can't explain why though. She can't explain why. It's just, well, it just makes me feel better, okay? It just means people listen to me.
for example, why do you think it is that women couldn't own property or have their own like bank accounts and credit cards?
Because they couldn't assume the debt, and therefore the debt fell on the husband.
Exactly. Do you think that that's unfair to women or unfair to men? Are you going to say it's unfair to both, so feminism solves it?
I'll say the last one you said.
Okay. So if that's the case, why do we now see if that's the case, why did we need affirmative action? We needed all this government top down pushing to push women into the workforce, to push men out of certain occupations. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with hiring quotas and saying, well, we've got too many male CEOs, so we got to stop hiring men and we can only consider women for these positions or the government will punish us? Is that fair or equal?
Well, that falls under what's called restorative justice, which is a conversation for another day. And I have also mixed feelings on affirmative action, but I would probably.
I hate that term restorative justice. So it's one of these things that just because bad things happen in the past, we need to make up for it now, even though like we've already did. Like we have equal rights here in the United States. Everyone could vote. Everything is pretty equal now, you know? But it's like these people, they've been brainwashed to think like, no, but there's still more work to be done. Did you see a black guy got followed in the store? See, racism's still here. Therefore, we need to have, black female pilots now. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, because there's too many white people pilots. So we need to fix that. Well, why? Because it's racist. How? Because it just is. And so now we need restorative justice. We need more girl bosses. We need more slay queens.
I know if I was born not a rich theater, drama, creative writing kid, I would probably think differently.
Well,
she was rich, theater, creative writing kid. That makes a ton of sense. But that makes a ton of sense. It kind of explains everything of why she's like this. It's like all these either middle or upper or rich privileged white people that think that like, oh yeah, they're sorry, I'm just trying. Okay, sorry, got distracted there, but just like yeah, it's usually those type of people that go along with this nonsense.
I wasn't born rich or anything, and I'm glad that you got your degrees and your education. You have some impressive credentials, but I'm here with just a high school diploma and a cosmetology license. And I feel like I'm doing pretty well in this debate. So let's talk.
Thank you very much, Crazy Manuel, all the way from Kenya. Thank you very much, brother.
About some other things here. Let's talk about what have I got in my notes here? Oh, what about what happened on January 6, 2021? Do you feel like that was an insurrection?
What does that have to do with feminism?
I'm just wondering if you think that the January 6th incident was an insurrection.
No response, because that has nothing to do with feminism.
Well, you brought up the 1919 women breaking into government buildings to vote and acting as though them being arrested or beaten because they were being violent was somehow like this horrible injustice, this terrible thing that happened. But I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and guess that you don't think January 6th was people fighting for their freedom, and you think that was an insurrection and those people belong in jail. But the women breaking into government buildings to do something illegal because they felt really strong about it, I'm sure that that was a tragedy.
Well, I think intent matters, but again, that's where I'm
Intent does
ending
matter.
this. I'm
Intent
ending
does
it. I'm
matter.
disengaging with this. I'm not going to
Okay,
talk about this.
so you're not going to engage with the trans stuff because it discredits everything you're talking about. You're
No,
not
because
going to engage with this
because
because it
I didn't
discredits you.
prepare for that, Rachel. This is not a debate about
you think?
trans.
Are you
This is
able
not
to
a debate
just
about
are you
insurrections.
able to just think on the fly at all?
It's because she knows she knows that, yeah, of course she thinks January 6th was an insurrection, worst thing ever, of course. And so she knows by admitting that it's going to give Rachel whatever it is that Rachel's looking for. And she doesn't want to do that. So yeah, that's why she doesn't want to admit that. But that's a good point, though. It's like the same thing with the what was the example that Amanda brought up? There's some woman that was trying to break into they were protesting against the Capitol or something. I don't know. But like all these lefties, it's just when they do it, that's for good reasons. But when we do it, it's for bad reasons. So January 6th, it's horrible, even though we could also make the argument, well, we felt the election was stolen from us. We felt that it was rigged. We were fighting an injustice, but they're like, no, 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 no. It's just because you guys are bad and you guys are pieces of shit. But when we do it, it's because we actually are fighting for injustice. It never fails.
I didn't come with slides or a prepared argument. I'm just here using my brain and thinking through these things. So
Okay.
you have to have consistent.
Rachel, using your brain? What? Amanda's probably like flabbergasted, like, wait, what? Using your brain? I just rely on whatever people tell me is true, what the media tells me and the Democrats and the left tells me is true, and whatever I learned in college. I stopped using my brain a long time ago. Soon as I entered my first college classroom, I just left my brain and I hung it up at the door.
In your worldview. If you don't have consistency in your worldview, there's a very good chance that you're wrong, and you should probably consider that.
I am always open. Okay, I'm sorry, there was a pause. I thought you were done. But
No,
I'm
go ahead.
always open to the idea that I could be wrong. I just don't think I am. And I've given
Well,
you
yeah.
my reasons, and you have failed to engage with what I am saying. That's where we're.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I just don't think I am. Well, yeah, no shit. Of course. None of these people ever think they're wrong. And so listen, you ask them to explain themselves. Well, why do you think this? Why do you think that? They can't explain it because they've actually never thought about this stuff. They've been programmed to think this stuff. That shows you when you've been brainwashed or programmed to, when you don't actually know why you believe in said thing.
Running into a problem here. I showed you my slides. I gave you my arguments. I showed you the images, and all of a sudden you want to talk about trans. I didn't say anything about trans. You want to talk about January 6th. I didn't say anything about January 6th.
I'm testing your logic. I'm testing the coherency of your positions. Your slides are not arguments. You gave us a lot of facts. You gave facts. I can give facts. Facts are not arguments. There's no such thing as like a brute fact that's self-explanatory. They all have to be interpreted and argued in a worldview. So
the facts support the argument that feminism is better for society.
Well, do you think that feminism, tell me, okay, why don't you ask me questions then? Like, where do you feel I'm failing to address your arguments?
See, like Rachel's pretty much commanding this whole debate. Like she's even saying, well, why don't you ask me some questions? Like Rachel at this point is probably just better off just debating herself.
Because I said feminism is better for society because this is what feminism is. It's equality. Okay. It is equal opportunities and dignities. It is not about sameness. You keep going back to saying
how has that made things better? So you're saying, I think these things are good. I prefer them, but how has it improved society? And can you give me some
because it's opened up a lot of opportunities for women to do things like, I mean, we talked about, you talked about this with Craig, write the code to put us on the moon. you know, in 18 whatever, before
That would
there
be-
was the technology, she wouldn't have
That'd
been
be
able
cool
to
if it
do
really
it.
happened. That'd be cool if
You
that
really think
happened.
Margaret Hamilton did not write the code to put us on the moon?
No, you can look it up right now and find out that she was just one person on a team of many, many people, most of
Well,
whom are
yeah.
men, who did all of the work. And that just because she happened to be in the bullpen with a bunch of men doing a little bit of clerical work does not mean she
Okay, writing
wrote the
code is not
code.
clerical work. Writing and developing code with a team is not clerical work. And it was feminism that allowed those men to take her seriously and take her opinion into account so that they could collectively write the code, put the men on the moon, advance technology. Again, another example of how feminism would not have arisen without the technology, which you, for some reason, thought was going to dismantle my argument, yet I'm telling you, no, this is true. And feminism is
yeah,
good.
so what you're doing, well, what you've done just now is admit that there would be no such thing as this illusion, this idea, this beautiful fantasy called feminism if men didn't create technology and then use that technology to enforce rights on women's behalf at their behest for them. So ultimately,
That doesn't make it bad, Rachel. That does not make feminism bad.
well, it just makes it an illusion. It makes it not real. It makes it simply a social contract we have for now, which, by the way, I think is completely unsustainable and will end soon and be remembered as a bad dream because these birth rates are not sustainable. Men are getting sick of this. They're checking out. They're realizing, because here's what we need.
Yeah, there are a lot of incels. I saw a lot of them at DebateCon.
So now she has to resort to criticizing like the people that were at the DebateCon, a lot of Crucible fans. She has to go, oh, they're incels. Oh, because what? We disagree with her? We disagree with her? That hoagie that you swallowed the other day, I'm pretty sure disagreed with you eating it. It doesn't make it an incel.
Oh yeah, they're incels. Lady, you said you didn't want to do insults in this debate, so please don't start calling men incels because I won't be able to restrain myself. But let's talk about outcomes. If you think that feminism is better for society, let's talk about the promises of feminism. Do you think feminism has made women and children safer as it promised to do?
I don't know if it promised that, but I do think it has.
Oh, it absolutely.
I don't know if it promised that. Isn't that one of the things that make it safer? Like domestic abuse laws or like the marital grape laws and stuff like that? Isn't that designed to make women safer? Oh, how about the last 10 years or so, or like 10 years ago when it was like catcalling is bad? Isn't that to make women feel safer? Like, so this whole thing, like, I don't think it was meant to make women safer. Yeah, it totally, like, under your worldview, yes, it totally was to make women safer.
Promised that. Check out
Yeah,
the
exactly.
National Association of Women Lawyers, which was the lobbying group that fought for no-fault divorce, and pretty much every other major feminist organization, which had giant smear campaigns all the way from
Thank you very much, Debate Archive. You found the Andrew Wilson versus Menard Reports debate. If you're interested, check it out after this debate. I can link it on Discord. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have time to review it today, but I'll definitely check it out. Thank you very much, Debate Archive. Hey, I could see why you're the Debate Archive.
the time of Prohibition all the way up through the 1980s, which convinced most women that the main threat to them in their lives was their fathers and their husbands, and that this is why they needed no-fault divorce. This is why they needed sexual
Do you have
liberation.
any evidence to support that? Like, where are you
Absolutely.
pulling this? I mean,
What?
I'm not like saying,
The
you know, this is
propaganda
the truth.
campaigns?
What propaganda campaigns? What are you talking about?
The Congress for Cultural Freedom is one good example. This was a CIA program. It was a Cold War program where they were trying to contrast us in the West with the, you know, Stalinist kind of Eastern Bloc mentality and pushing women's liberation and feminism as part of the Cold War. So this was a huge effort with over 400 major media publications around the world. Gloria Steinem was recruited out of Smith College to join this effort in the 60s. She traveled to India and Europe to go to youth festivals and help promote feminism there. And it was same thing with her Ms. Magazine. Ms. Magazine, if you said you read my book, so in the beginning
Yeah, I
talked
saw that
about
in
this,
there
how
with
the
the
CIA
Hindu
actually the
Hindu
CIA actually helped
sex god.
create and push Ms. Magazine to convince women that they needed, you know, this sexual liberation, that they needed abortion rights because they were being oppressed. So yes, this is, and again, like I said, during the women's temperance movement, which people will say that's a Christian movement. Not exactly true. The people who were in charge of the women's temperance movement and got prohibition passed were actually like super left-wing progressives of the progressive era. They used the moniker Christian, but they were pretty radical. They were like Quakers, Christian Scientists. They were not like mainline Lutherans or Catholics for sure. They were the most radical leftist kind of subversive Christians. They had massive propaganda campaigns that were in pamphlets, newspapers, magazines. Time magazine was one of the big ones with the Henry Luce Foundation to convince women that pretty much all the men were alcoholics who were constantly beating their wives. This is why people believe this stuff. People believe these myths and these lies because of huge propaganda campaigns pushed by NGOs with billions of dollars. Do you need more evidence or no?
Well, a lot of that was bare assertion. But what I'm going to say, Rachel,
that's not bare assertion.
That's the best that she could come up with. Is that was just all there. That was just all assertion. Again, no arguments. Like, look at all the facts and arguments that Rachel's bringing to the table, and you have the table here, Amanda, with nothing other than being the table. I think it's safe to say that there was no coming back for Amanda. She had absolutely nothing. So let me bring up where she went on Craig's stream and coped and made up excuses like, oh, I was tired. What else? I still beat her though. Let's see here.
All right, let me read some.
I don't know if there's like a good part, but we could just watch a little bit of the cope here. Little bit of the cope stream. Do a little bit of copium mining here. Copium harvesting, if you will.
Try to separate the art from stuff, you know.
I'm actually really good about doing that just because I've been reviewing books for so long. No,
Yeah.
And weirdly, I've always known that J.K. Rowling has just been a jerk. Like, she's never been a good person. So her
J.K. Rowling's not a good person. Now, by the way, she only thinks she's not a good person because, oh, she doesn't think men could become women and vice versa. That's it. That's the only thing that they hate about J.K. Rowling. So because of that, she's a bad person.
recent actions are just not surprising to me. Like, I never liked her as a person.
Yeah, like I said, I just try to ignore that, and like a lot of the time I don't even think about who the author is or anything, and it's just the world that's been created. And yeah, I know it can be hard, but that's the way I like to do it. So right, so yeah, Rachel Wilson's book, however, that's pretty much fantasy, right?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Definitely. Fantasy, lying, all that good stuff.
So now they're coping by saying that Rachel's book is just a bunch of fantasy and lies. Way to actually just dismiss it without actually going through and debunking anything that's in the book. It's just much easier to just dismiss it and be like, oh yeah, it's just a whole bunch of baloney. And then she's like, did you say baloney?
Do you want to tell everyone how you would describe what the book's about?
So the book is about the history, the unknown history of feminism lying in the old cults. And Rachel makes a lot of claims, and I don't think she straight up says feminism is bad, but you can tell that's kind of what she's arguing for. And her argument is feminism is bad because all the early feminists were bad and they were all cultists and they were having affairs right and left. And feminism seeks to make women god over men, and it's bad because magic and stuff like that, and it's not Christian.
Yeah, I'd say that.
That's
I mean,
the gist.
For me, I'd just say it's a clown show. The entire book is just, this is it because I said so. Feminism bad because I say these things happened in the past.
Yeah, there's a huge lack of citations. Rachel does a lot of bare assertion in real life and in her book.
So let's make the assumption that everything she said about the founders of feminism and the roots of feminism is true. Let's say that that's all correct. Does that change whether feminism is good or bad for society?
No, that was the whole thing. A lot of good, like, I mean, the invention of penicillin was because the scientist was lazy and didn't put away his crap, and now we have antibiotics. I think lazy scientists are bad, penicillin good. Yeah. And this is going to be controversial, and I'm going to get flack for this, but I think the way we ended World War II was bad, but ending World War II was good. We meaning Americans.
Yeah,
So-
you know, sending nukes to places is never good. You know,
It's not a good thing, but
irradiating
Yeah.
a large portion of a country and
That-
you know,
that was
decimating
not
hundreds.
good.
It's not a good thing. But
it's not a
ending
good
World
thing.
War II, that was good.
Yeah.
You know, you can. It's the same. Like a lot of flat earthers will go, "Oh, you think NASA are good? Well, they came from the Nazis because a lot of NASA was from the Nazi rocket technology." You know,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of the Nazis then came over in Project Paperclip to you know work under the umbrella of NASA or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
does that mean that going to space in rockets is bad because Nazis invented a lot of rocket technology? No,
No.
it's
No.
such a dumb argument.
Yeah, for real. A lot. I mean, Dark Origins doesn't make something bad.
Yeah.
Like,
And if it
Yeah, Scott, that seems to be the new strategy, you know. Get destroyed in debates by Andrew or Rachel, and then go on a stream and cope about it after. You know, go on to a fellow lefty stream where they're not going to get challenged anymore. They're in their little echo chamber, and then they just talk crap about Andrew or Rachel. You know, it helps them sleep at night, you know. Like I said, it's not easy having your worldview challenged like that. So this like puts their mind at ease. This lets them know that their little world that they live in, it's gonna be okay.
did, then her and Andrew's entire argument about Christianity being good for society should be taken away, because the dark
Exactly.
origins of Christianity and the evil
Yes.
atrocities that Christians and Christianity and Orthodox especially have committed in the past, well, then we should never base society on that because it's really bad. That, you know, that's the argument
I was
she's
about
making.
to say that. I was about to say that. Yeah, because it's so true. It's so true. I think they would argue, like, when people bring up the Inquisition and the Crusades, that those were Catholics and they're Orthodox, but at the same time, it's all Christianity.
CRHK Rebs in the chat says Rachel Wilson is a nobody with a self-published vanity book. Are you both not worried that you are now giving her a far larger platform than she could achieve on her own? Unfortunately, she's married to Andrew Wilson, who is algorithm gold. So Rachel is kind of a big because of Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, I mean that is true. But imagine like that person sending that in like, aren't you afraid of giving her a bigger platform? Oh yeah, because now they're talking about it on the Craig show, on the Craig stream. Oh yeah, it's gonna blow Rachel up.
She's
She
not
does
gonna
just
get big because of me. Go to my channel. My last video has like 12 views. She's not gonna get big because of me.
Yeah, you know, I don't get the many views as I used to, because that Flat Earth is dying a lot, and I'm doing different topics, trying to build a new audience. You know, so it's not like we're going to make Rachel Wilson famous, but we both debated her recently on the same topic. So before we go into the book more, let's talk about the debates a bit. How did you think my debate went? Bear in mind,
How do you think my
I'm
debate
pretty
went?
sure I was still drunk.
He has her on here instead of asking her about her debate first. He's like, how do you think my debate went? And now he's going to make excuses like, by the way, I was still drunk, you know, and I've been going through a lot of hot stuff. That's why I got destroyed. But what did you think about it?
In fact, mathematically, I had to have been still drunk, because the amount I drank at her friends in high places the night before was unresponsible. And if it wasn't for my lovely assistant Rubik's, then I don't know if I would have got back to. I don't remember getting back to the hotel.
She told me.
So the fact that it was 11 a.m., I'm surprised I was alive, let alone able to stand on stage. I was definitely still drunk. So considering.
Well, you know, you have to consider Craig is a victim, you know? Maybe this was all planned by the Crucible to go out, buy me drinks, get me drunk, so that way I could get destroyed by Rachel the next day. Oh, maybe that's what's going on here, Craig, huh? The evil Crucible strikes again with their generosity and charity.
How do you think my debate went?
Well, it's unfair to call it a debate, because I think you were both kind of just talking past each other for a long time, but you definitely had better arguments. You had arguments. You didn't insult her the way she insulted you. And I think you did a better job of citing evidence for your claim. And Rachel just basically recited her book the whole time while you thought.
Yeah.
So if we're going to grant that was a debate, you definitely won it, for real.
See, yeah, like I said before we had a chat before the show, for me, the fact that even though it was mostly Rachel's audience, the Crucible crew, but they laughed with me, and they, you know, seemed to get on with me, and I won over the audience. So if we can call it a debate, then that is how I would, based on how the debate was won. And considering it was the hostile audience, and I felt like they were on my side a lot.
Awful.
Yeah.
Craig talks about that, like, because the Crucible audience was being nice to Craig and treating him with respect, you know, he takes that as he won them over. That, like, oh no, actually, you know, they went in there being against everything Craig stands for, and then by the end of it, they all agreed with Craig, and they're like, dude, what is this Rachel bitch talking about? We should be listening to this guy. Like, that's how he makes it sound, like, by when he says, well, I won them over. Like, no, dude, like, they just were treating you with respect. That's all they were doing, treating you with kindness and respect. But he takes it as, oh, I really won them over, so that's how I know I won the debate.
So very.
It's the Craig-sible now.
So
yeah, oh my goodness.
you definitely did very well, and your mother would be very proud of you for what you did.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did it for Mum. I wasn't going to go because of everything that was happening. But before my mum passed, she was like, you are going, and you're going to go and do it for me. So I did.
And you did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, miss you, Mum. Any particular thoughts on any moments in the debate?
Well, there's the part where she called you.
Fucking Craig, dude. This guy is ridiculous. He's really asking her, can you talk about my debate? Like, instead of asking her about her debate with Rachel, first he's like, well, what else do you think about my debate? Anything else? Huh? Like, what is this?
The boss of all the final boss of all simps.
I'll take that, being a final boss. You know, I've worked hard at the gym.
Yeah. That stuck out to me. And the part where, I mean, both of you kept going on and on about tools that women can use. And she's like, women can't do this. And you're like, well, there's some that are. And she goes, okay, because there's 1% of butch ass women. And I saw an opportunity for an argument that didn't get brought up, but Rachel kind of did. She was like, okay, maybe evolution, women will eventually become men. And when you were talking about Fife and the women day laborers and all that, it popped into my head that I was like, women could do it. It just will take longer than it probably would a big, strong man. But that doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of things I wish I'd brought up, like
oh, of course,
like World War II. Who took over all manufacturing responsibilities in the United Kingdom? The women. You know, the women ran the factories. They used the tools. They built the tools. They maintained the tools. It was women that did all of the hard labor factory work. I wish I'd come with more facts and figures.
But Rachel would have just brought it up that the men were the ones suffering because they were going to be cannon fodder, and she kept bringing that up too.
Well, yes, they're the ones literally dying. Yes.
That they were cannon fodder, they went to the mines, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, no one denies that. Why are you bringing it up?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make it seem like women had it worse. That's the thing. And so Rachel and anyone else with common sense brings that up to let you know, like, no, it wasn't just men had these great lives and women were treated like shit. No, it was that, like, everyone had it shitty, but men had it shittier.
She tries to point out basic things as though they're a surprise, which I never really understood.
And just because that happened, that doesn't mean men didn't uniquely oppress women during that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wish I'd come with more facts and figures. Like, she's like, oh, well, and hardly any women do that. Well, she's like, women can't work on oil rigs. UK, the UK oil rig like workers, 1,316 women currently work on oil rigs for the UK. 1,316. That's not a little amount of women.
Hold on. Okay, I want to look up real quick. How many oil workers are there in total in the UK? All right, let's see what Grok tells me, huh? So there's 115,000 people total that are oil workers in the UK. Out of 115,000 people, 1,000 or so of those people are women. Oh, Craig, whoa, you really showed us. Oh, yeah, that very small minority of women that are oil workers really proves your point there.
Women. That shows that women are absolutely capable of doing these jobs.
He still uses that argument. Even after the debate, he still uses that argument. No one is saying a woman can't be an oil worker. We're talking about in generalities. Okay? They keep doing the meme about women in general are 5'4", and then the woman, yeah, but I'm 5'6". They keep doing the meme. They don't understand. We're talking about in general. And you, with that very own stat that you just shared, proves our point. Out of 115,000 oil workers, a little over 1,000 of them are women. That proves our point.
In the US, I'm looking up, it says it's low but increasing. While exact numbers vary, women make up a small but growing minority.
Hey,
US
did we get it
oil
right?
rigs often cite around 5 to 15% of all workers. And I like that you bring up oil rigs because I'm from Texas. I spent
Hey, if we got a raid from Rob North, thank you very much, Rob. Thank you very much, Rob. Very much appreciated. Hell yeah. Good to see all you guys in here, all the Norons. We're just watching the COPE stream between Craig and Amanda. We just watched Amanda losing to Rachel. So now she's coping about it on Craig's stream, where Craig is just asking her about his debate with Rachel.
a long time in East Texas. Currently, I live in Dallas, but I taught in Northeast Texas for a while, and oil jobs are big. Oil and welding are the two big things that a lot of the kids who are going more of a technical route like to go into.
Yeah.
First it's welding, then it's oil.
Yeah. There was a lot of things that she brought up in the debate, which I wish I challenged more, when she specifically was like, well, women can't move big engines and put them in cars. And I wish I'd pointed out that neither can men.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we can't do, men and women equally cannot do that and need to use a crane here. And then I could have been like, here's 20 videos of women putting engines in cars. Her entire argument is women can't do these things, when there's women literally doing these things. Right? Just because there's a lower proportion of women that do it than men doesn't mean that the women wouldn't step up. In fact, historically and biologically, women are objectively more adaptable than men.
And at a young age,
it's funny because they're just asserting all these like they're asserting all these things too, but then they'll say, well, Rachel was just making bare assertions in her book, but then they're just asserting all these things as well. Suzanne, thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat to start March super chats. Thank you very much, Suzanne. I'm glad the super chat worked out for you and you're able to fix it. But thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone that's donated so far. We're now halfway through the goal.
I mean, overall, we're much medically stronger. And that especially comes into account with something like premature babies.
Yeah.
So women get, a man and a woman get in the exact same car wreck. A woman's going to survive over a man, strangely.
Yeah. I think women have a higher life expectancy than men.
I think so.
Yeah. And I understand that.
Yeah. Wait, what's he gonna say?
Because and I'm gonna be quite honest here, men are fucking idiots.
So he acknowledges that women have a longer lifespan than women, but he attributes it that we're just all a bunch of retards. We're just all a bunch of dumbasses. I guess we're just walking off cliffs. And yes, men are bigger risk takers than women. And yes, that does play a part in why men have a shorter life. But it's also because men are doing more of the hard labor. Men are doing more of the hard labor. They're less likely to go see a doctor. All of those factors also factor in. It's not just that we're just a bunch of dumbasses, Craig.
Oh, yeah.
Like
sometimes.
What's this? Someone's getting deleted. I see she's a feminist because she's a whiny, useless.
Gross. Craig tried to
okay.
Gross.
So he's called Godspeed, a typical Christian. I tell you what, there's no hate like Christian.
Shout out to Godspeed. Godspeed, are you still in here? I saw this part and I was like, wait, Godspeed? Is that our Godspeed?
In love.
Can you read the whole thing?
It says, I see she's a feminist because she's a whiny, useless sack of wanted flesh. I know her faggot ass can't. I know her fat ass can't.
Can't what?
I
Get flush?
Didn't finish the sentence. I'm not sure.
Can't
Yeah,
flush.
that's how I'm gonna take for someone.
I
to
like how
drink.
she ended that herself. My fat ass can't what? Can't flush. It's like, well, hey, at least she finished the insult on her own.
Up my size. Wow.
Okay. I know.
This is where she
Yeah,
copes over
I'm a
her
feminist
size.
because I'm fat. Thank you for that.
So what if
no, you're
these
fat
things
because you're a feminist.
don't make any difference? The amount of times that I got called fat.
You're not a feminist because you're fat. You're fat because you're a feminist. By the way, thank you very much, Dull and Tired 8619 for $1.99. Just the circle and slash sign. I'm sorry, I don't know what that represents, but thank you very much appreciated, brother. People are telling me FTFE is a traitor. I don't know why. What did he do? He called out Andrew. I covered it earlier. He put out a whole stream pretty much asking Andrew to apologize for calling Chuck a ditch licker and a snizzlicker and a dyke. And so he's demanding that Andrew apologize. Oh, it's 07. Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's just the slash. But if it's supposed to be 07, then okay. 07 to you too, sir. Oh, waving hello if you put them together. Okay. Yeah. See? All you freaking young people and your signs that I gotta learn. Ugh. Lint liquor. But yeah, shout out to Godspeed for getting that comment in there. By the way, he called Godspeed a Christian. Yeah, Godspeed's not a Christian.
When I before I lost half my body weight, like I just don't see the point. It makes no difference.
Hey, I have a few. So I don't have Cushing's, but I have a cortisol issue. Like in the video I put up of the Q&A between me and Rachel, you can see very prominently the buffalo hump on my back. So that's a symptom. So it's just that and medication makes it very hard for me to lose weight along with spinal arthritis. So I've just kind of accepted it, and I am not getting gastric bypass surgery. I've had that recommended to me a bunch of times, and it scares the crap out of me, and I refuse.
Yeah, boss, it's your
yeah. So the doctors are like, get gastric bypass surgery. She's like, no. But yeah, so she's coping over why she's so large. Again, that's why that you're fat, because you're a feminist. Because feminists don't preach personal responsibility. Okay, they think you're big and beautiful the way you are, and if you can't lose the weight, it's because of something else going on. It's not because you can't control what you eat. No. It's because you got the cortisol issue or your medication, blah, blah, blah. You know?
Most absolutely. You don't have to do a medical procedure you don't want to. And if you're happy, and it doesn't really matter, it's completely irrelevant to the conversation that we're having. It makes no difference. And I bet that they're sitting there at their keyboard weighing like 500 pounds anyway. You know, it's the ones that are the ones that say it that normally, it's like all these right wingers that are turning out to be the hardcore pedophiles, David Woods.
Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering, no, I'm not going back on modern day debates if they will host Inspiring Philosophy, and I most certainly will not be debating him at DebateCon 7.
Yeah.
So Craig, oh yeah, and then they cope right here about James is moderating on modern day debates.
I go back. I told both my parents about it. They're like, "Oh, why would you want to engage in that?" And I had a really good time.
It is fun.
It was, yeah.
But
so
there's a lot of people there that I'm like, I feel a bit gross that I was spending time with them.
I did it. So that's the thing. Yeah. I didn't go to the bars. I didn't get there until very late, and I slept in the next day because I got in at like midnight and I was tired, and I stayed up waiting for my DoorDash because I hadn't eaten. And so I was like, I'll miss the first debate. It's fine.
So you debated Rachel Wilson on the same subject yesterday over on Modern Day Debates?
I did. Yes. I initially emailed James wanting to debate. Sorry, my guinea pigs made a noise. But I wanted to debate either Rachel or Angie over whether the subject of the Christian God was evil, asserting my claim that he is. But he's like, they're not going to go for that. I can do either Christian nationalism on trial or feminism. And I said, well, I'd rather do Christian nationalism on trial because I just didn't want to hash this up again. But he was like, well, I could book Rachel. It seems more intuitive. And I was like, okay, I want to be on the channel. Yes, I'll do it. But I still would have rather been doing something else.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to want to do the debates I want to do. I would much rather do the whole is your God evil? But
yeah, Craig just, you know how Brian, like, he wants to talk about Trump because he just wants to spurg about Trump for however long. That's pretty much what Craig and God, he just wants to spurg about how evil God is. That's his big thing. So, so James doesn't want to just have debates about is God evil all the time with Craig. So Craig's like, oh, he doesn't want to do debates that I want to do. I just want to spurg about God, but he won't let me.
James is a Christian, so maybe he doesn't want to hear it.
Could be. He does the whole secular humanism thing all the time. So
yeah, because I mean that's not really attacking Christianity, is it? But calling the Christian God evil is pretty much attacking Christianity, and I don't know if he's up for that right now for some reason.
No,
for some reason. Craig's the worst.
Like, and
he doesn't really seem to moderate either. He just sits there watching.
Yeah, and mutes me. I'm always extremely unfairly muted.
Yeah, I got muted yesterday too because I said something during Rachel's closing statement. So yeah, I got muted. But it took him like a few seconds. I guess I made a face and he muted me.
He's like, I can't look at you no more, lady. But no, it's because you're not supposed to talk during the opening and closing statements. That's for the person just to talk and you're not supposed to respond. That's why he muted you, lady. As far as Craig goes, James mutes you, Craig, because you're a freaking spurg and you don't know when to shut up. All you do is interrupt and just talk. You love the sound of your own voice. You love the sound of your own voice. You love yourself. And so that's why he mutes you, because you don't know how to shut the fuck up.
Then he asked me a question. He goes, oh, you're muted.
Yeah, because you muted me. Apparently he once told the moderator to indefinitely mute me.
Indefinitely?
Then why have you on?
That's funny. Craig definitely. Craig just muted the whole time. Based.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah. So you end.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. Yeah, you would think a debate coach would know those rules. Yeah, I know, right? A debate coach. Yeah, you would think she would know you're not supposed to talk during the opening or closing statements. Craig interrupts the voice in his head also. Yeah, exactly. Forevermore muted. Yeah. You know, he should just indefinitely mute Craig. I'm going to indefinitely mute Craig right now because I'm ending this. If you want to see the full COPE stream, I'm going to have a link down in the description down below. So if you want to see the full debate between Rachel and Amanda, I'll have the link down below as well. But get a load of this. Like I said, this is the new thing now. These people, they get destroyed in debates by Andrew or Rachel. And then they have to go on the COPE stream with their fellow lefties and soothe each other and tell everyone, no, it's going to be okay, guys. Yes, we're the ones in the right. We're the ones that are good. We're the ones that are smart. They're just pieces of shit, right? And they don't know nothing. It's a pretty interesting strategy, you know, instead of just actually trying to up your debate skills and get better as a debater, maybe ditch your shit worldview and actually learn some truth instead of this wackiness you believe, then maybe you might improve a bit. But no, in the meantime, I guess you could have your COPE streams, guys. You could have your COPE streams. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the cool stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.